I see where that's coming from a head injury point of view.
I think we're all just going to have to get used to the fact that any force onto the head, whether it's deliberate or not, it needs to be stopped. We're moving into a different world. We know now so much more about the damage this can do to people in the long term. We're going to have to change the game to stop it happening. I don't want our guys wearing helmets like they do in American football. So we're going to have to protect people's heads.
Well, helmets don't really protect them.
They don't actually. No, it just makes it worse, to be honest. So, we are going to have to protect people's heads. So we need to suck it up. We need to get on with it. And players and coaches will learn how to stop doing it. They will.
Yeah.
We'll change how we play in order to stop it.
I think in both these incidents, people who haven't seen it, they're both shown on the YouTube highlights on the Super League page for the game. I think both of them were pretty much legitimate tackle attempts. So I think there was an element of unluckiness from them, and with Evans in particular, because it's almost kind of like the player goes into him rather than the other way around, but he still braces the shoulder into the contact, whereas he could have been softer into the contact, and if it had hit his chest, then I think it would have been a case of it's the attacker who's instigated that, because he's kind of stepped away a little bit almost and not instigated, not driven into the contact. With the prior one, it was definitely a legit tackle attempt, but is swung around and cleaned him out with his shoulder into his head. So again, he had the whole body to aim at, but he's chosen to go in a way that could hit the head, and it has hit the head. So I think these two, on that balance that we're trying to find, I think these two were kind of in the right area of it's just a bit too dangerous.
I agree. So I just think we have to learn. I think players have to learn, coaches have to learn. It's going to take a little bit of time. It is a change. It's not what we're used to. I've been watching the game for 50 years, and it isn't how the game used to be played. But that's just life. We're just going to have to move on. So we just have to get used to it. We can't whinge about it. It's it's going to happen to Saints players. It's going to happen to all teams this year. We just have to change and just have to move. That's just the way it is. And the sooner we learn, the sooner there'll be fewer cards.
Yes, yeah.
The Snake had an amazingly good game, this game. It was probably the best game I've seen him play for ages. I don't know about you, Mark. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah, because the game the other weekend in Salford wasn't televised, was it, where he had the billion try assists? But I agree. I definitely agree with what you're saying. What I thought that first try, it just Rangy Chase came into my head. There's something so Rangy Chase about Jake Connor, isn't there?
Yeah, when he plays loose like that, and he's got his head up, and he knows he's got the defence on toast. And when he's like that, he's just unstoppable. If he could play like that every game and not get involved in all the shit on the side, he would be Great Britain, England's best player. It just doesn't seem to happen consistently enough, and there seems to be so much baggage that comes with him that I think is the problem that Wayne must have with not having him in the squad. But bloody hell, he's got talent, the kid. He really does.
Yeah, and in terms of this performance, there was an element of Leeds giving him a bit too much time and space. A lot of that was won from him by the strong performance, but some of that was also won in the minds because they just couldn't work out what he was going to do. What you're saying about the consistency and the other stuff, I think the other stuff is the stuff. The fact that when asked about what had Sean Wayne said about why you weren't in the training squad, and he says, I don't know, I've not spoke to him, or however he said it, that sort of stuff won't go down well with Sean Wayne. And I think that sort of stuff is why he isn't in Sean Wayne's squad. Maybe Sean Wayne hasn't had a phone call with him in the last 10 days or however long it's been, since 2 weeks since that England squad this time was announced. But I'm calling bollocks if he's saying Sean Wayne has not spoken to him or communicated with him whatsoever in the last 12 months about why he's not been picked in other squads.
Yeah.
It's that petulance and that impetuousness. It's still evident in his behaviour.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't fit a consistent winning mentality.
It doesn't, not for a team.
No.
You can't have players causing problems for the ethics of a team, particularly in a competition. Where you've got a limited number of games over a few number of days. There are no calming down periods. You just can't have it in a tournament.
Now, maybe he's not like that when he's actually in a group with players. It seems like players think he's a fucking bellend when he's not playing with them. Like, ask Luke Gale's comments last year that they highlighted in the thing versus what he says about him now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think you like him a lot more when you're around him, probably. But he's got to ingratiate himself, I think, or be outstanding every week to get that chance to show that he's not the bellend that he comes across when you don't know him well.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure he probably isn't a total bellend. He's definitely an amazing player.
Yeah.
And our competition is the richer for having him in it.
Absolutely. Keep playing like that every single week, Jake, except when you're playing Saints, mate. That'll keep me happy. I loved watching him play last week.
I think play like that against teams like Saints, against teams like Warrington, against teams like Wigan, and that's when you'll get yourself in, and against Catalans, that's when you'll be in the team. Play against the best teams like that. Take control of games like that against the best teams.
Yeah, quite right. But I thought it was brilliant. The other thing that was mentioned in the comments that I do have to say is I thought the video referee decision for the Leeds try was cobblers.
That's the next thing I've got here. So we've got a bit of a mixed bag in that, haven't we, in the fan views? We've got some people thinking it should have been a try and some people thinking it was a clear no try. So you're saying it was a try?
It definitely. The ball is a sort of an egg-shaped object. There's no way that it can touch the touching goal line before it's touched the inside of the playing field. It's a load of cobblers.
Unless
it's a dreadful decision.
Unless it's put down more on the end and then than it is on the belly. So I think that's the question mark, isn't it? For me, the issue isn't necessarily the decision that was made or any of that sort of stuff. It's just highlights why the video ref is an imperfect system, and we have to accept that because it does, like you say, feel like it probably must have hit in goal before it hit in touch, but there was no angle or shot that we saw that confirmed it. The only shot we had of the ball hitting in goal, it was also in touch at the same time.
But wasn't it giving us a try in the field, Mark?
It was.
So I think that's cobblers then. Honestly, I mean, it's given us a try on the field. There's nothing there to show that it isn't. Logic absolutely suggests it must have been touched down in the field before it's touched the touchline. I think it was a poor decision.
What I would have liked to see if they had any other angles where the cameras might have been running, not in exactly... Obviously, the frame rate of 24 frames a second would be the same, but the rate of the frames on that particular camera might not have been the same second as the other second. That might have been a thing, because we didn't see that, did we? But also...
unless he's rolled his hand from right to left, so that the point of the ball's touched the line first, and then he's kind of squashed it into the field of play, it can't touch the touchline first.
But I don't think we can say for certainty that he hadn't touched it on the line and rolled it across, because we couldn't see that.
I think that's a stretch, to be honest.
I'll tell you what else was a stretch.
There we go.
The fact that he thought he needed to dive to score it anyway.
Sorry?
He could have just put it down with his other hand.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, I agree with that.
He didn't need to do what he did.
No, he didn't. I agree with that. I still think it was a try. It wouldn't have made any difference to the outcome, I don't think, but I still think it was a try.
I'm going to wrap up what I thought on this game with a bit more praise for Hull. So, Connor, first half, absolutely shining light, but The pack were fantastic, as a few people have said. I thought Sau in the second row slightly out of position was really good. I also was really impressed with McNamara and Lovadua, the kind of makeshift halfback combination.
Yeah, I agree.
Whilst Connor was the star and the pack were imposing and impressive, I think those two facilitated the game plan really well. The game plan was get the ball to Connor in space with time.
Yeah.
And they facilitated that. I thought McNamara was one of the best performances I've seen him have.
Yeah, no, I don't agree. I don't disagree with that. I thought he was very good, and I thought they managed the pack well. I thought Satai was very, very penetrative with his running.
Well, I think he had like 19 carries and averaged 10 metres a carry. A couple of other news stories around this game. We kind of mentioned a little bit before. David Leeds Rhinos head coach Richard Agar confirmed another hamstring injury to centre Harry Newman. Newman, who's 22, left the field during the club's victory over Wakefield in Super League in round 4. So that could be anything from a couple of weeks to a longer stretch. So we'll see how bad that was. And Leeds youngster Morgan Gannon, 18. I mean, the amount of games he's played already at 18, has signed a new 4-year contract with the club.
Yeah, he's started his career very well, hasn't he? He shows a lot of promise. So I feel for Newman. He's one of those guys. Percival had quite a lot of trouble a couple of years ago. Who seems to be quite prone to these hamstring injuries. Hopefully, they'll find a way to train him so that he can overcome it.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, and Gannon, he's played probably a dozen or more games now, hasn't he? And I really am. I've been impressed by him. He scored that try, didn't he, in that Wakefield game as well, showing some good support play. But he's got a nice offload. He's a strong runner. He'll learn other sides of the game as he goes. He's a really, impressive prospect.
Yeah, great kid.
Moving on to Friday night, the first of the non-televised games. Wakefield versus Toulouse. It was 8-6 to Wakey at half-time. It finished 18-6 at full-time. 4,351 there. Tom Grant was the referee. Nearly 300 more metres for Trin, who had 6 breaks to 2, as well as a 1.6% better team tackle success rate. So stats say, they were good for that 2-score win. What about individually?
So for the winning side, Tom Johnston, 2 try assists, 143 metres, 2 clean breaks. Tinarawa Rona, 110 metres. Curry Hall, 1 try, 5 tackle plus and 107. And Liam Kay, 108 metres. For the losing side, Matty Russell, 6 tackle plus and 115 metres. Andrew Dixon, still going, 40 tackles. And Eloy Pellissier, 65 tackles. That's a fair old bit of tackling that Pellissier's done there. We just had one fan view on this, Mark, from Wakey White.
Yeah, he said, finally the Trin train has left the station following a tense game in poor conditions at Bellevue. Not our best performance, but an important win against fellow cellar dwellers. Lino took the game by the scruff of the neck and was excellent on both sides of the ball. Hats off to Toulouse, though. They kept trying expansive rugby, but not enough of it came off in the rain, and I know how that feels. Ash Ulbot was a constant menace, he said.
Yeah. I mean, I only saw the highlights of this, Mark. It was later on. One thing that I thought at the time was Toulouse do look outmatched size-wise, in comparison. I mean, Wakefield are not small side, but boy, Toulouse looked quite small to me when I was just watching the highlights. It just struck me. They didn't look a big side, that's for sure.
Yeah, the one sort of weird size mismatch, I suppose. The centres are quite big. Armitage is massive, and he showed he's a bit of a handful with the ball again here, but he gets caught out defensively. He'll overread or he'll be in the wrong position. So there's an element of rough with the smooth with that guy, but what a handful.
Yeah, a big important win for Wakefield, this one. I wasn't surprised. I predicted they'd win. I wasn't hugely surprised that they did win, but nevertheless a very important win.
Yeah, I was hopeful that Toulouse could win this one after what we'd seen the last few weeks, but it didn't go that way. And one of the reasons why it didn't is some of the tries again that Toulouse conceded were way too easy. I mean, why weren't they a shit on their own line against Wigan if they were for that Liam Hood try? That was as bad as the Darryl Clark try that Warrington scored a couple of weeks ago.
Says something about Wigan, that, Mark. That's nothing to do with Toulouse, but no, there were. I mean, if you did, I mean, one or two of the Trin tries towards the end were, that they'd really stretch play or it came from a kick, but there were too many sort of pushover like tries and 2-0